hallmarks there. And yes, I'm coming to that, sir. Botswana is a landlocked country in the southern part of Africa, surrounded by Namibia on the northwest. Those ones who are chatting, they are going to ask questions on Botswana and Impala also, which the video which you showed. So be very, very careful because I'm used to lecture and you're bringing me back to lecture mode. So that's on the northwest. We have Namibia. It's a landlocked. We don't have any sea. A lot of mountains and it's more like a desert. On the northeast, we have Zimbabwe and Zambia. On the south, it's South Africa. You see a lot of South African videos on the movies, especially the Bollywood movies you see. But people haven't gone to the extent of Botswana for Hindi movies, but you have seen movies. The Gods Must Be Crazy, one of my favorite movies. And our national animal of Botswana is zebra. It has, of course, you know, the black and white stripes to promote diversity as well as harmonization between various people from various cultures and backgrounds. So we would like to live in harmony, and one of the most peaceful country of 2.7 billion population. Ladies love diamonds and gold. Diamonds, we are one of the exporters of diamonds. And lately we had an election. We have a new President, Advocate Duma Boko. And our national flower is Sengaparini. That's how it looks though. The color is similar to the lotus flower, our national flower from India. That's the color of the flower, but it has a lot of medicinal properties, like it is used in the ailment of diabetes, gallstones, kidney, and many other health issues. And the bird is the, not the peacock, but the kori bird, which flies very high with its heavy weight. It's one of the largest flying bird in Africa, but native of Botswana. Though our national animal is zebra, I projected camels because it's a desert area also, and we do have camels there, and that's my husband and my nephew riding camels out there. I want to dedicate this part of the presentation, or any presentation I do, it's always to my mentor, who is Badrinath, late Dr. Badrinath. The name is very familiar, and when the likes of Dr. K.K. Mehta went on the stage, he was introduced as a certified American board optometrist also. It's quite impressive. And I've been blessed by a lot of ophthalmologists. We have one ophthalmologist and an optometrist sitting there, Dr. Shankar. So without them, we are nowhere. I would say, in a way, most may agree or disagree, but we were created as primary eye care professionals to reduce the burden of blindness by ophthalmologists, to support them and to be in harmony. So I'm coming from a land of harmony, so definitely I practice in a land of harmony, so definitely I will be talking about maintaining peace, harmony, and relationship at the practice. Now, the World Council of Optometry, we all know what's our definition. We are independent to do comprehensive eye care and rehabilitative care. Of course, we have embraced optical technologies, visual function sciences, ocular diagnostics, and have reached ocular therapeutics. Of course, we do have a council which is National Ali Council formed. I was sitting with Dr. Kishore Bhandari just now, and he is one of the nominees of the council, MOA President, Maharashtra Optometrists Association President, and it's super to see the merging, the symbiosis, the synergy between the ophthalmologists and the optometrists here at this conference, setting as one of the beautiful examples. And we have reached here as optometrists at the level of ocular therapeutics, not to be in competition with our colleagues, but to help prevent blindness. That should be always in our mind, whether we have PhDs, masters, bachelors, we should know our scope and where we stand. And what are our duties? We have gone to great levels of orthokeratology, myopia practice, myopia management, dry eye, treating dry eyes, and many ocular diseases. But the basic is patient care, patient patient, fighting for the rights of the patient, the dignity of the patient, and helping in decision making by developing our skills and knowledge like these conferences where you can promote your skills. Even if you're silently sitting back, we are learning. The brain has a capacity to ensure that we grasp things into the subconscious mind. And please do not forget to maintain highest standard of eye care practice, healthcare practice, and also promote ethics in your practice. While we make money, we should take care of this and ensure the professional dignity is also maintained. We have different kind of practice. We are an individual also practicing on our own, or we are as an optical outlet. We are employed. We may be employed in ophthalmology settings, corporate, private hospitals, academic settings. Research is stressful and happening. And I have gone through all these stages, academics, being with hospitals, being with ophthalmologists, and it was great. I was feeling a little jealous with my friend here, Kani, when Dr. Usha Johari handed over the momenta to her. She's one of the ophthalmologists I work with at a kind of a public eye care setup at Asha Parekh Hospital. And she's one of the person works very well with optometrists like the likes of Dr. K.K. Mehta, Dr. Maskati, P.T. Shah, and these are the ophthalmologists who will bless you in the right direction. And please, as long as you don't step on their toes and cross your and the partnership, we can develop our practice by having partnerships, expanded services, and also developing, going digital. Be mindful of digital eye strain also, and giving back to the community, continuous education and service delivery. Apart from the ethics, service delivery is something which is more important. And please remember that it's not about testing eyes alone, but dealing with people, testing the people as a whole, interacting well. How do we interact well? By having a holistic approach. And history taking, one of the speakers did mention about history taking. It's very, very important. That's where your rapport develops. You ask a lot of leading questions without unsettling the patient. And patient care is the final best outcome after your deliberation. And patient education is a must. And patient awareness and education is quite a must. And building trust and giving comfort to the patient is important. Ethical standards of practice is usually left out. So when Dr. C.C. mentioned about practice of optometry, so you might be thinking that I'm going to say how to set up a practice where the vision chart is little lamp, and that's beyond that. Everybody knows. Most of you have advanced units, including OC. Some of the practices have OCTs also. But what is basic is keep optometry. What I believe in is keeping optometry simple, embracing the standards, and promoting virtues like compassion, loyalty to the patient, standards of practice. And first, do no harm to the patients. You would have heard this many times way back, but I was trying to refresh the memory to act in the best interest of the patient and treat all the patients equally without any kind of discrimination. And communication to people or the patients is very, very important. And being alert to get good signals, pick up signals, and be sensitive and supportive. Treat them with respect, show humanity and empathy, and be competent. You have a lot of debates and workshops going on. I'm very impressed with the debate topics, which is going to actually run a few things in your mind and brainstorm a few things in your mind subconsciously, and you will apply it. Definitely you're going to apply it. And continuous professional development like these is quite crucial for us to reflect back into our practice and improve on our skills. This is very important. I would like to pause here to reinstate that, please, it's very important for us as optometrists to maintain cordial relationship with other practitioners, which means optometrists and also other healthcare practitioners, be it ophthalmologists, general doctors, physiotherapists. I heard Mr. Badari and Dr. mention about sports vision and how you using application of physiotherapists to optometry to help sports vision in eye-hand coordination, just mentioned. And of course, you know there are other specialties like when you're treating non-communicable diseases, actually you need the help of integrated help of other specialties to have an integrated approach in patient care. If you have any disagreement, please try to resolve amicably and maintain peace and harmony between practitioners. Do not try to correct or change somebody's prescription. You can always consult them, call them, and have a discussion to arrive at the patient. And Dr. Kishore was mentioning about inform that in his practice, whenever he practices contact lenses, he always tries to acquire an informed consent. Most of the surgeons have informed consent already, but even for contact lenses, it is very crucial as optometrists. It's very important to maintain our records and also have an informed consent. Take extra interest in protecting the interest and safeguarding the interest of the patient, and not only the patient, also your instruments, maintenance, care is important, and confidentiality of the patient by not only you but also your staff. If you do not train, we do not train our staff, the staff can lag up showing the detailed information and the history and by the health related which the patient doesn't want to listen to the third party that. So training your staff, the employees is also very important, and the professional indemnity insurance is coming out quite good, but we need to take insurance not only for the patients but also for ourselves to ensure that you are not taken to any court of question, and you need to have your records clear and ensure the insurance is covered to protect your own